5-0, baby. Has a nice ring as this final segment of Cougar Nation, sponsored by Central Bank. Last chance to get in your calls, 801-575-8255. And if you have an old phone where you're looking at the the numbers, it's 575-TALK.
Okay.
If you're a letter person. I barely remember my wife's phone number now. My phone is my life, so maybe just program this into your phone, and you can call us every single week. We've had some great calls today. We want a few more before we get out of here. What'd you make? This is related, but what'd you make of that Arizona win against Utah?
I thought it was an impressive showing by Arizona, and they acknowledged today that they changed the play calling duties. Dino Babers, who once upon a time
he was recently the Syracuse head coach.
He was, and remember years ago, I think it was 2016 season, he was on a national championship coaches panel with Kalani.
Yes.
And he was mocking Kalani about, oh, yeah, you got a bunch of mature guys because they serve those missions. And then Kalani got defensive. It's like, hey, those guys sacrificed their lives they sacrificed 2 years of their life to go on a mission. And it was kind of, Kalani was getting feisty a little bit, and Babers was talking some smack because he's a former Hawaii guy. And but yeah, he got the play calling stripped from him, and they gave it to their passing game coordinator, and then Arizona looked like Arizona of last year. And it sets up a huge BYU game coming up on October 12th. Now Arizona will have Texas Tech this week, but I think also what we learned too is that Utah did not just step into this league and just walk all over the Big 12. Like, no. Utah still has to earn it, just like everyone else does. And now we're at a spot here where the end of September, BYU is ranked higher than Utah. And no one was talking about BYU.
BYU has a 23.7% chance right now by the ESPN FBI to make the college football playoff.
Beautiful. And I love it. And the thing is, embrace the pressure, embrace the expectations and the hype. And I don't think Cougar fans should be like, oh, like I'm putting my guard up because I'm afraid of the fall. No, embrace it. You don't get these chances often. And only 8 times in 100 seasons have you started 5-0. Like, enjoy this. Embrace it. Shoot for the stars, man. I know this BYU football team definitely is. These players believe. These players are not shocked by this 5-0 start. They believe they can go all the way. So I love it. And put the extra pressure on this team because it's what Brett Yormark said at Big 12 Media Day. Pressure is a privilege, and it is. Embrace it because, man, that means You're a good football team.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's going to be really interesting because the way that the schedule breaks out, the Cam Rising situation is getting crazy. I don't know what to believe. I don't know. Pete Thamel's looking like a buffoon every single week. Game time decision. It's like, no, it's probably not a game time. Like, Isaac Wilson, you do not want to be in a position where you have to start a true freshman quarterback. He might have all the talent in the world, and he might become some great quarterback. He's not right now. And if he's the quarterback against BYU, I think BYU has a great chance to win that football game.
How amazing is the thought of November 9th, though? BYU, Utah. And this is what we talked about. You, me, Nate, our producer, we did an article where we discussed, where the spot of the schedule to put the rivalry game. It could play out where it was unconventional in the moment to not have it at the end of season. But look, you can dream up a scenario where BYU's 7-1, maybe 8-0, maybe 6-2. I don't see them, dropping all 3 before that Utah game. So at worst, maybe 6-2, and Utah, maybe same record, 6-2, 5-3, 7-1. That's high stakes, man. That's Big 12 title on the line. So I love it. I just think there's going to be a lot on the line for BYU Utah on November 9th. It's fun. And I think it was a reminder, too, of BYU and Utah now have this whole comparative thing again. We're like, oh, you did this against Oklahoma State. You did this against Baylor. You did this against Arizona. We did this.
Right.
It's fun. And that's been missing for the past decade, and I'm looking forward to that chase, that push. And I like that BYU's in the thick of this conversation. I think all of Cougar Nation went in with humble expectations. It's not that they didn't want to believe. Like, all of Cougar Nation wanted to believe. But look, everything that was from last year was like, man, odds are stacked against them. They got to make some real improvements. They're making those improvements. Now they're 5-0, and everything's in front of them. And I love it. And I think that's going to be a fun chase for this team to see what they can become the rest of this year. We keep taking your text 57500 or 801-575-8255. Give us a call. Texter 3324. I give a B- to Jake Retzloff this season so far. The defense has put him in some good spots, and he has done a good job finishing those drives. He started off nicely against Baylor. He has thrown a few bad picks, but overall, there's been good progress compared to last year, and BYU is winning, so I will take that all day. Go Cougs!
You know what I like about this offense? This is not a bad thing, because I've seen it complimented in a way to where it's like, hey, it's good that you're scoring after turnovers, but can you put together a sustained drive, for heaven's sakes? I think they did that in the Baylor game. They had a nice long touchdown drive that was capped off by the deep touchdown pass to Darius Lassiter. But when given a great opportunity, can you cash it in? And for 2 weeks in a row, they've done so. They scored after the Blake Mangelson pick. They capitalized multiple times against Kansas State. That's good. That's very good. If given an opportunity like the ones they've been given, if you're able to cash that in for 7 points, let's give them credit for that rather than maybe focusing on the lack of possession or sustained drives. I think this offense has done a really nice job after turnovers.
And this offense and defense and special teams, they're going to look at this bye week as a work week. This was Jake Retzloff on what the bye week will entail.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good for us, just to kind of reset, a little bit. It's like, all right, we got the next third of the season, because the season's broken up kind of into thirds with our bye weeks and stuff. And so we're going to reset, rest up, get fully healthy again, and just attack the day.
Good stuff from Jake. I think that's the good attitude to have. And gosh, it's sort of crazy to think that this team is in this position, because you rest up, you get healthy, and they got banged up against Baylor, so they need the time off. You get back. Arizona is a hard game, but I like it being at home. Arizona, even though they beat Utah, I don't look at them as a true contender to win the Big 12. I don't personally see that.
Neither do I.
So they're certainly in the upper half of the league. It's not a freebie, but I like BYU in that game. Then you got Oklahoma State. I don't like Oklahoma State. They can't run the ball. Alan Bowman is who we thought we was, to quote Dennis Green on you. He is who we thought he was.
They didn't let him off the hook, though.
He's turnover prone. BYU is going to feast off that at home. UCF, although they got handled by Prime and the Buffs, that's still a hard game. On the road at the Bounce House, difficult game. Then you're into another bye week. Then you got the rivalry game. And then the back 3 games are cake. Kansas is reeling.
Oh, they're terrible.
Houston's bad. Arizona State's sneaky, tough. But you could lose 1 game out of what we just discussed.
10 wins on the table.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that was any shot coming into the year. No. 10 wins is suddenly on the table for this BYU team, and a lot of the confidence for that commentary is because of the defense. Through 5 weeks, Matt, 10 sacks, 27 tackles for loss. We were talking in the break, how awesome was it when Crew Wakely, the interception was amazing. But the safety blitz, how awesome was that? We haven't seen that in years, it feels like. Just bring in a safety, bring in the heat. I just love it. I love what this defense is bringing. They throw in new wrinkles every single week. They keep these opposing offenses on their heels. Jay Hill's brilliant, man. And the synergy between him and Kalani, it's there. It's outstanding. This group's playing at a high level. And again, I know that this was probably the weakest performance maybe against Baylor from the defense, but still, the impact that they made, the big plays, the momentum changers, that Blake Mangelson pick, that ultimately ended up being the difference. It was a 6-point victory. Without that, maybe you're going to OT. Maybe it's a different ball game without that pick that sets up a touchdown that ended up being a rushing touchdown for Chase Roberts.
That was ridiculous.
That should have been a passing TD for Jake, but I like what that defense is providing. I think the BYU offense is doing a solid job too, with room to grow, and that's exciting as well.
Super exciting, because they haven't played a great 4 quarters yet. Kansas State probably the closest one to that, but that was a slow start in that Kansas State game. You love to win, Mitch, when you have things to improve upon and learn.
We'll talk to you next week on Cougar Nation. No Cougar Sports Saturday with General Conference, so talk to you next time here on Cougar Nation.